we're talking about college quarterbacks. You look at Caleb Williams, you look at Michael Penix, you look at all these guys, Drake May, all these players. It's such a we're making the same mistake over and over. I find myself doing it. Oh, Caleb Williams, he's going to be incredible in the pros. He might be. But we've done this for like the last 3-4 years, Connor. We look at these college quarterbacks and say, oh, that's the guy. That's the guy. It's such a risky pool of dipping back into the college game and thinking that somebody is going to be the next franchise guy. And I've heard people talking about Caleb Williams in the same vein as John Elway and Peyton Manning. Are we going too far again?
We have gone a little too far because everybody expects these quarterbacks to be saviors, right? And I was just watching Caleb's tape against Notre Dame before I came in here for another show. And listen, these guys need to be put in situations to succeed. And you look at the game against Notre Dame, and it felt like the first time USC didn't have him set up for success. There was a lot of pressure. He was very skittish in the pocket. He was staring down the rush, and it led to bad decisions. 3 interceptions. That's unheard of from him. He's a superstar prospect. Well, go back a couple years ago, and I know Urban Meyer, it's tough to evaluate the situation, but Trevor Lawrence was built up the same way. Yeah. And it took Trevor Lawrence, the Urban Meyer year, throw it out. But the first half of the year with Doug Peterson was also not good. And Jacksonville really needed to build up that offense. And now you're seeing the returns. But Trevor Lawrence isn't perfect. He still has warts for
even to this day.
For an Andrew Luck level prospect, right? These guys get built up every year. But look at the guys that succeed. It's the situation. Tua in Miami with Mike McDaniel, not with Brian Flores and that staff. Jalen Hurts with the Eagles because of the offensive line, the receivers, and Jalen's mobility under a coach that understands how to utilize that mobility. Patrick Mahomes sat an entire year under Andy Reid before he played. The situation over the talent. You want to combine both, but you can't throw talent into a hopeless situation and think it can overcome that. It can't.
Great points, too. And prior to this week, right, because now that Caleb Williams has played against Notre Dame, it seemed like everybody kind of switching up on him now.
Real quick.
Drake May. Here comes Penix.
He's already dropped
his problem.
Right,
Now
the Heisman.
Number 8.
Yeah, now the Heisman is a whole nother different thing. But you hear
Michael Penix leading the way by far.
You hear people say prior to that Notre Dame game, get Bears, draft him and Marvin Harrison.
Save the franchise.
You saw what happened versus Notre Dame, right? That's exactly what it would look like if he went to the Bears.
That's exactly
because that's the situation that's going on with the Bears right now. So, you made up great points and you brought up great examples. You get these guys who you feel like are first or even second-round talent because Jalen Hurts was a second-round quarterback. They need the right situation. We saw Jalen Hurts at the beginning of his pro career. It didn't look pretty, but what did you expect? We're 4 or 5 starts in. There's not a system for him to thrive in. So every quarterback needs that. No quarterback is coming into a bad team. Remember, this is a team game. And they're not just going to flip the switch on a franchise because they're a great talent by themselves.
Look at Bryce Young right now.
Yeah, Bryce Young.
Perfect example.
Bad situation.
Now, and I know it's a bad situation, and they just made a switch with the play caller, Frank Reich. Nice. Once again, it's storytelling. Now that story needed an editor from Frank Reich. He's like, listen, I talked about it with Mr. Tepper, and we decided that, week 7 or week 6 of the season, when we're 0-6, that this is the time to switch play callers. Really? I don't know. That was the plan? So I don't know if you were kind of strong-armed into that one, Frank, and you had to give up the play calling duties. But does that make you question Bryce Young, though? Are you looking at Bryce Young and saying it's just a bad situation, he's still the prospect I thought he was, or do you say, maybe he's not the prospect I thought he was?
I think flaws become magnified in those situations.
Yes.
Bryce Young is small. Because of that, behind a bad offensive line, he's not seeing the field well, and he doesn't have the physical talent as a runner like Anthony Richardson
I just brought this
does.
up. I wanted to highlight this.
Is C.J. Stroud?
Ohio State.
Yeah, we know.
OHIO. What's up?
Yeah,
What's
we knew
up
it was
now?
coming.
What's up now?
Yeah, exactly.
You got it.
Anyway, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I mean, Bryce doesn't have those things to fall back on when everything else is a mess. Like, I always think back to when Lamar Jackson had to start playing. Lamar came in, and as a thrower, he was good, but he was still kind of treading water, figuring it out. but he was such a gifted athlete that he was such an impactful player as a runner while he got better as a thrower. And then you flash forward a year of him playing in the NFL, and he's an MVP caliber player as a thrower, as a runner. Anthony Richardson, it could have been the same story for him this year. There's a lot of guys that can do that. It buys them time. With Bryce, he goes into a situation, bad offensive line. Adam Thielen's their number one pass catcher at 33 years old. And then he can't fall back on being a superhero because that's not his game. So that goes back to our whole conversation of situations being very, very important for these guys. Bryce goes into the worst situation, but credit to C.J. Stroud, who there's some positive things about him, but he single-handedly is balling right now.
Keeping them afloat.
I think he's got the right coach. I think they made the right moves
No
immediately.
question.
For like now, getting Will Anderson and C.J. Stroud right there is looking genius. You still got Stingley and Petrie back there. That's a nice young secondary. So they're building and they're competing. We did not think the Texans would be 3-3 right now.
All right, hey, Connor Rogers, man, good to see you.
Yes, sir.
We got to do it
I'll see
again.
you tomorrow.
Yes,
We got to do it again.
Yeah.
In
Thank
studio.
you, guys. It was awesome.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget, you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.